the show's called 30 Years Still Standing Up. Basically, the premise behind the show, well, it's a true story. It started that first year I did the Fringe in 1994. I was at a venue that's no longer there. It was on George Street.
Yeah,
that's quite near the Assembly Rooms.
Yeah, Newtown, isn't it?
Yeah, Newtown. In fact, the rather annoying thing is that it's over the road from where I've done my solo show the last 2 years.
Right, okay.
This is Newtown Theatre. The Stand are not using that anymore, so I'm back at Stand 5. But actually, this venue was just over the road from where I did my last 2 Fringe runs. It was a grocer's shop.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I know, it sounds like really...
So what, you're like, get your fruit and vegetables, but there's a show on aisle 5 or something? Or?
Almost that, yeah. It was it was quite a posh grocer's. It was a bit like Peckham's.
Okay, I was going to say, are you like fucking... Is this your big Waitrose fucking...
Yeah, no, it was more like Peckham's. It was like a smallish... I think it was a family business, and they had this one shop, and it had been in the family for generations. It was called T.G. Willis, and they were kind of a posh, what used to be called licensed grocers, is a very old-fashioned term, which was like a top-end deli that also sold alcohol.
Right, okay.
And
I'm sorry, in my head you're like, where are you performing tonight? I'm just going to be in the dairy section.
It was a bit like that. Basically, on the mezzanine level,
right,
in the 1960s or 70s, by the look of it, they'd added kind of restaurant.
Right, okay.
So you went up this little internal staircase into the restaurant.
Okay, that's respectable.
The guy, he was the guy who, he was the son of the business, this guy called Tom Willis. And Tom was a big comedy fan, and he decided to put a comedy club on there. And I think he ran a monthly gig outside the Fringe, and then during the Fringe he did every night.
Yeah.
But, like, his booking policy was like a grocer.
Okay.
So, say there was 4 acts on every show, he'd book about 6.
Right.
Yeah. So people turn, I don't need you tonight. And people turn up for the gig, and he, no, you're not. He said, but you booked me. I booked you in case somebody didn't turn up. So it was like he had booked comedians like a grocer. It's like, it was the kind of grocer's mentality of have as much stock as I can in case it sells.
Oh, that would be infuriating.
Thankfully, that never happened to me. Thankfully, I got every time I was booked, I was actually on. Anyway, this was at the time of the Perrier Award.
Right.
Because Perrier, some people still call the Edinburgh Comedy Award the Perrier Award, because it was the first sponsor of the Edinburgh Comedy Award was Perrier Water, and the Perrier, well, I don't know, they sponsored it for well over 20 years. T.G. Willis didn't sell Perrier water, they sold Strathmore water in the shop.
Oh, yes.
So he decided he would have the Strathmore Water Comedy Award, but you could only be eligible for it if you were doing a show at his gig.
Right, okay.
And nobody did the whole, apart from the compere and Bruce Springsteen, nobody did the whole run. And they decided, I don't know who the judges were, but anyway, I was the joint winner.
Right,
of
okay.
the 1994
of the
Strathmore,
Strathmore Water Comedy Awards.
That's it, yep. I was the joint winner with Noel James, who's still on the circuit. Noel is another kind of eccentric Welsh comedian. And Noel had actually finished his run by the end of the Fringe, by the time they announced the results, and had this big showcase. They had this showcase gig at the end when they gave the awards out. And he was actually on holiday in Amsterdam. But he came back for the gig.
Right, okay.
And I said, what are you doing coming back for? We thought you were on holiday. Well, yeah, but I've never won an award before. I said, oh, fair enough. And so the guy from Strathmore Water turned up. The prize was meant to be £100.
Okay, and this was 1994.
It was shit money in 1994. Anyway, for a prize, it was all right for a gig, but for an award.
This was August 1994.
Yeah, 100 quid when,
I was 1 month old.
Yeah, well, there you go. There would have been a lot of money to you then.
Yeah, what? I would have
been £100 would have been a lot of money.
Yeah, it would have been decent money, eh?
Yeah. Yep. So the guy from Strathmore Water turned up with one award, which was cheap as shit. It looked like he'd just gone over it was like one of those. It wasn't even metal. It was plastic, but made to look like silver. It just come off the sheet. It was a whole crappy thing, and 2 cheques for £50 each. And he said,
sorry, it was a combined £100.
That's right, yeah, get £50 each. And he said, look, I've only got one award. And I said, well, give it to Noel.
Right.
I'm still in Newcastle at the time, so I said, well, I'm just down in Newcastle. I'm only an hour and a half down on the train away. He's come all the way over from Amsterdam. He's broke. He's come off his holiday to get this. Yeah, you have to give it him.
Right. Okay.
I said, don't worry. I'll say. You took my address down. I said, I'll put one in the post. Let's say no. He's kind of eccentric guy, and he kind of got his teeth into this idea that this guy was going to send me this award. And so anytime I gigged with him after that, we used to work together fairly regularly. First time must have been about 2 months later. He said, have you had that award yet? And I said, no, I haven't. He said, no. I phoned him, I phoned him several times. He says he's going to post it to you.
Okay.
And he's got your address, and he's going to put it in the post.
Right.
But I keep reminding him, I phone him. A little bit later on, we're gigging again together, and he said, have you had the award yet? I said, no, I haven't. You haven't fucking phoning that guy. He says he was going to post it to you, fucking cunt. And about 6 months later, he says, have you had the award yet? I said, no, I haven't. He said, oh, well, I don't think you're going to get it now. I said, well, no, he's left the company. And I thought, I bet he fucking hasn't. I bet he hadn't. I bet he just told the person on the switchboard, if anyone Welsh phones, I don't work here anymore.
Right, okay.
Anyway, so that was it. Until, and this we were just talking about lockdown and being in Australia just before it. In February of 2020, I was out in Adelaide, like I said, and he got in touch on Messenger. Noel James. And just the simple message said, what's your address? That was it.
20 years on.
26 years later.
Oh, God.
He said, what's your address? And I gave him it, and then I phoned home about a week later. Yeah, so
please tell me you just said, I'm sorry, I walked out for cigarettes.
Anyway, there was about a week before I was due to get home. I phoned my wife, and she said, oh, there's a parcel arrived for you. I said, oh yeah, I wouldn't have ordered anything, none of this. I mean, not home for another week. Don't know what that can be. I said, no, it's not like Amazon or anything like that. It's obviously it's handwritten, and there's an address on the back. It's somewhere in Wales. I said, oh yeah, I know who said that. And it's this weird shape, and she opened it up. It's a jiffy bag, and it was this beat up old fucking trophy that Noel James had obviously. It might have been the original trophy. I don't think it was. I think it was like he'd seen it in a charity shop or a jumbo sale or
right, okay,
like house clearance for some dead relative or something like that. Anyway, so it's this kind of really kind of discoloured, and the kind of neck of it's bent, and there's a dent at the top of it, and at the bottom, but it's got a shiny, brand new, just engraved plaque on the front. It says, to Vladimir McTavish, winner of the 1994 Strathmore Water Gold. He kept the fucking joke going for 26 years.
Jesus Christ, talk about commitment.
I know. I think it just occurred to him. I mean, obviously, he hadn't been thinking about it for 20, but he kept on joking about it for years and years and years and years after this. He kept on joking about it, and then I didn't, you know.
You reckon that was in his will in case something happened?
maybe. And you know what? It could have been the original award. Maybe he thought, well, better pass this on now. Well, I've had it for 26 years.
So it's not basically the copy. It's just the one you gave to him.
I don't know. I don't know. I must ask him. But the thing is, with Noel, he's such a piss taker. I'll never get to the bottom of it.
Fucking
But yeah, keeping the joke running for 26 years.